So thank you all for coming out tonight. Just going to make a few remarks before we get started. My name is Tom McElhenney. I'm the director of the Berkeley Center for New Media, and it is our 20th anniversary this year. So speak a little bit just about some of the events that we have going on. I apologize. We know what we're here for, but we have to talk about some of these other things as well. So in case you don't already know about us, the Berkeley Center for New Media is an interdisciplinary research center. We study and shape media transition and emerging diverse perspectives. Through critical thinking and making, we cultivate technological equity and fairness in our classrooms, in our communities, and on the internet, although, as we all know, there's a ongoing struggle. We recognize that BCNM is located in the territory of Uchim, the ancestral and unceded lands of Chochenyo-speaking and Ohlone peoples, specifically the Confederated villages of Ishan. The history of prolific technological development in this region has always depended on this land, and all of our technological infrastructures and activities take place on in relation to this land. We commit as a center to supporting the sovereignty and the ongoing stewardship of this place by Ohlone peoples through building long-term reciprocity in relationships with tribal leaders and organizations. And if you aren't already familiar with our Indigenous Technology series, which is led and hosted this year by Jesus Nazario, a PhD student in ethics studies, I'd encourage you to take a look at our website and our YouTube channel for recordings of previous talks in that series. And on November 25th, we'll also be hosting Maria Elena Wambachano, who's a professor of environmental humanities and indigenous studies at Syracuse University, who's going to give a talk called The Kipu Model, an indigenous knowledge-based research framework. Okay, this talk this evening is part of our Arts, Technology, and Culture Colloquium. This evening's event is part of the series which Ken Goldberg founded back in 1997, and which has grown into an internationally respected forum for creative ideas. It's always free of charge and open to the public, and it's coordinated by BCNM and has presented over 200 leading artists, writers, and critical thinkers who question assumptions and push boundaries at the forefront of art, technology, and culture. This evening's event also marks the launching of our Oakland New Media program, which aims to amplify Oakland artists and technologists who are on the cutting edge of new media and who make a significant impact on the local and national stage. The series is especially invested in reminding all of us about the centrality of Oakland artists and technologists in creating a different vision of new media culture, often a more exciting and promising idea of what we can do with technology and the people who are creating avenues for historically marginalized or underrepresented communities to thrive in a technological landscape that has often overlooked this work. Lastly, I want to take a moment to thank our generous co-sponsor, the Department of African American Studies. We're really grateful for your support in helping us make this evening event happen. Okay, so finally, to today's speaker. So David McDuffie is a creative technologist, a digital archivist, and augmented reality artist and developer. He's the founder of Black Terminus AR, an augmented reality camera company that lets artists and museums create, sell, or commission AR artworks without learning a ton of code or buying a bunch of special gadgets. All they need is the Black Terminus AR mobile camera app that helps bring artwork to life. His mission is to keep redlining out of the metaverse by developing and inspiring the next generation of Black creative technologists. And I'll say, I first learned of his work through my friend, open artist, and educator Nicole Dixon. And when she first described what he was doing and showed me some examples, it just absolutely blew my mind. I could not believe that this was happening, and in general, that it was happening in Oakland in particular. Here was someone who was kind of adding to the storytelling of Oakland and making paintings come to life in ways that I just didn't think were possible. And also just bringing a history to the present, using new media to kind of access that history. So in addition to some of that work that he's done with statues, with murals, etc., he has a project Into the Archives, which is his ongoing gallery exhibition series, and he uses photo collage and augmented reality to extend still photos from his personal family archive and artwork into a new dimension. And sorry, David, for saying some of the things that you're going to say. Each archival art piece is taken from the family archival collections of a range of disparate family members and showcased at open-air museums of historic Black neighborhoods. This is work that is powerful in its own right and also aims to encourage others to use personal archives and still photography as a way into creative tech. He's currently partnering with the Joyce Gordon Gallery in downtown Oakland for a bittersweet event as the gallery is closing after 20 years. This last exhibit at the gallery focuses on the legacy of the Black Panther Party newspaper, a powerful tool in the fight for justice and empowerment. And in Joyce Gordon's own words, she said, "I'm honored to partner with Black Feminist AR to bring this important history to life. And we're sourcing some incredible items for the Billy X's It's About Time Black Panther Party Alumni Archive to showcase the newspaper's role in uniting and inspiring our community." I think that work is still on display right now, so I encourage everyone to go down there. It's work like this that makes Damian McDuffie's AR contributions to Oakland so important, and such a powerful demonstration of the way new media can make older media live again in different ways, opening new paths to learn from the past. So please join me in giving a warm welcome to Damian McDuffie.
Cool. How's everybody doing? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So, thanks for having me. I know those were a lot of words, creative technology, augmented reality, and all of that. We're gonna kind of go through it and see like what does those things mean. But like I said, I want to introduce you to myself. My name is Damian McDuffie, creative technologist. And my entryway into augmented reality is actually through the archives, through family archives, through the storage archives, and for me, really figuring out ways to bring those type of things to life. I love this idea of, taking physical objects and blending them with digital objects. And I think we can kind of really tell stories in a very new way if we kind of go with that. So what we're going to do now is I'm just going to take you through what we'll be doing for this whole presentation. We'll make sure that we give you a sample of how to create, but we'll also be just taking you through the story of how I got into augmented reality, how we've been applying it in multiple different ways, and then how you might be able to do that yourself. Yeah. So what we're doing today, we'll do the introduction. We'll have a video overview. I'm going to give you all a opportunity to sample and experience some of our artworks that we have around the world. And then hopefully I can show you one or two little techniques and different ways that we've been creating and using our piece. So before I start with anything, I like to kind of start with the project that brought me here. One of my main projects is called the AR Museum for the People. And if you've been to Oakland or you've been around the world, you'll see that there's large-scale murals in a lot of different places. In West Oakland, where I'm from, there are, in the last few years, there have been multiple Black Panther Party murals that have been littered throughout the neighborhood, as well as statues. And over the last 3 years, I've taken it onto myself to add digital elements that allow those kind of monuments to come to life. And it comes from just my childhood. I know that I grew up in West Oakland. I always knew growing up that the Black Panthers were part of the history, but I really couldn't see it in the landscape. And I really couldn't see it in like the environment. So I wanted to kind of change how some of these stories kind of live in my neighborhood. And so what I'm going to do is just share with y'all my AR Museum for the People project, which is basically at any point you can come to West Oakland and go on a guided tour of Black Panther Party monuments that are also integrated with the technologies that we use. All right. We might have a little commercial. So maybe about a year ago, a news crew came and did a story about our mural, but it also kind of shed light on kind of the journey that we're doing. It's about 5 minutes, but it's a good introduction to make sure that we all kind of start in the same place. Open up the camera, there's a lot of joy on people's face. Most of the people that use my app for the first time, really their first introduction into augmented reality, into this, mix of the physical and the digital into the real world.
Damien McDuffie is a creative technologist and digital archivist that uses tech to bring our world to life.
We open up our camera, point it there. Whoever opens up the camera over this particular image will be able to see this video.
I know you just explained it to me in like 5 minutes, but it still feels like magic, like seeing it come to life.
Well, that's the whole thing. I think what we're doing is like, you know, what we're selling is magic in terms of seamless immersion.
Damien creates these seamless immersions using augmented reality, a mix of the digital and physical world made possible by the app he created, Black Terminus AR. Walking around Oakland, you can use his app to bring huge public art displays to life, like this mural of Black Panther Party founders Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seale.
There you go.
Like any good inventor, his journey started with a problem he first encountered while working as an archivist for the Dr. Huey P. Newton Foundation by day and digitizing family photos by night.
As I was working in that, there's a frustration I think that most archivists or curators have. We get to sit and be with so many like wonderful artifacts and share a lot of what you see as an archivist with the public. Either it's pretty fragile or it's just not something that there's no media to really kind of deliver it.
So Damien created that medium in augmented reality, a skill he taught himself during the pandemic, first with family.
About 10, 15 years ago, I started just scanning and digitizing photos of my family. This is my mom and my auntie when they were 12 years old. This is an example of a different kind of animation.
His creations blend reality with something that feels as if you're stepping into a piece of art. Some simple, others more elaborate, each one telling a story.
And they'll be even more valuable to the people in.
We have a picture of my mom in the 80s at Sweet Jimmy's, I believe, one of the clubs in Alameda. When I look at it, what I want people to kind of get a sense of the lifestyle that she might have had, kind of like the evidence of that is just all of the photos that I've seen, many, many club photos that show her with friends, always with her sister, who's also her twin. I look at that and I want to say, this gives me a feeling of partying and dancing, so I want to add, we're going to add some music to it. So I want, when I open up the camera, I want music to come up.
Damien was first inspired by augmented reality after visiting AR museums in Thailand and Japan in 2019. That's when the light bulb went off.
As an archivist, I was like, oh, now I can help people see what I see every day. Like, because I know the history of West Oakland, because I know the history of Black people in certain places. Even when I walk around my neighborhood, I know why what was here before me.
He's now using this technology to do exactly that, working to create a Black Panther Party history walking tour in West Oakland, breathing new life into murals like this one, honoring the women of the Black Panther Party.
The art itself, the home itself, it's so beautiful, it's remarkable, but now there's another layer being added onto it with Damien's technology and the AR. What has that experience been like for you just to be able to pull out your phone and see that?
It's bananas, basically. It's just bananas that these women have existed for me as real people for a really long time. And now with Damien and Black Terminus and AR, you can point your phone at these women and they come to life for you. And that to me is incredibly remarkable and exciting and beautiful.
Damien is working with Jill Christina Best, the owner of the home and curator of the Black Panther Museum inside of it, to enrich these artifacts with even more history through AR.
Let's see if this works.
The bronze statue of the late Dr. Huey P. Newton is one of 25 public art displays in Oakland that will entertain and inform when you point the Black Terminus AR app at it.
Let's see if it, absolutely. All right.
For the more advanced augmented reality creations, Damien even does his own face tracking to bring the art to life. He showed us how it works.
My name is Julian Glover with ABC 7 News. We're working on the face tracking app, Mugshot. Damien McDuffie.
Now blink, you can see if you blink, you can get
money can, you can put it in your face a little bit. What was it like the first time you saw someone opening up your app and being able to use it to see some art come to life?
Yeah, I'm amazed every single time. Like I'm amazed that it works. I'm amazed that people use it. I'm amazed that artists use it.
And those artists are amazed by his creativity too.
I would be still fighting for what they fought for.
Just ask Timothy B., the mastermind behind this massive mural of Bobby Seale and Huey P. Newton at the corner of 7th in Washington.
I'm new to the augmented virtual world, so when he first showed me what he did, I was surprised like everybody else.
Damien sees a world in the next 5 to 10 years where augmented reality experiences are all around us. He's hoping to use this technology to further educate the masses about the Black story in history.
I want people to be able to come to our city and have an experience that allows them to see the city, walk around, but also learn about what the history was in a real good, immersive way. And this concept of bringing AR and combining that with the Black kind of art history, I think it's just my way of creating experiences that I think Black people will love, and I think that other people will love as well.
Julian Glover, ABC 7 News.
Alright, thanks for bearing with me with that. I always think I told Julian I think he does a good job of kind of laying the foundation a little bit better than I can. And so about 4 years ago, I found myself with a lot of archives, being the archivist for the Dr. Huey P. Newton Foundation. And a lot of work that we were having, I was able to come across all of these photos and videos and things that I really couldn't share. When I was able to discover augmented reality and this idea that all of this rich text that maybe I couldn't share on the internet, I'd be able to embed it into different objects and make it come to life. So I started kind of experimenting back then when we did our first exhibition, which was on the corner of 9th and Center, now 9th and Dr. Huey P. Newton Drive. It's also Huey P. Newton Way. It's also the place where he was murdered. And what we were able to do is a few years ago just set up a gallery of a lot of the letters that people delivered to him upon his death and all of that, blow them up and then embed different videos and different messages in it. And it was then where I realized, there were 5-year-olds, 85-year-olds all being able to experience the same history. That's when I kind of decided to kind of build what I wanted to do. As we go on, I'm going to show you just different samples of how we've been able to use the technology in a variety of different ways, and also just show you what the process looks like. So just to kind of make sure that we're all on the same page, augmented reality is the blending of the digital and the physical. So everything that you saw in those videos is a combination of our camera app being pointed at a particular image and being able to see different digital pieces come to life from that, right? We try to describe our platform, which is the Black Terminus app, and I'm going to go back so you all can download the app if you have it. The whole idea is to kind of what we call keep redlining out of the metaverse. So we know that there are a lot of barriers for people kind of bringing whatever kind of work that they have into the digital realm. And what we try to do is develop a technology that doesn't require coding, that doesn't require a lot of know-how, just the idea that if you have an image and you have a video, you can create an experience for anybody, anywhere, with the app in your pocket. Okay? I'm going to show you all what this process looks like, but this is the app in simple form. We have a map where users are able to put different monuments on a particular map. So if I wanted to know where that mural was that was activated, I can look at this map and go to the mural and experience it. We have the camera, which is basically the lens that we have to look at all of our artworks through, and so that people can experience the augmented reality. And then we have the create piece, which I think I'm most excited about. It's kind of designed from the mobile, because that's what most people are computing on in the world. And we spend a lot of time going to Mexico City, Dar es Salaam in Tanzania, Zanzibar, Senegal, a couple places, and making sure that the things that we were creating was something that other folks can create outside of this space. Do you have any questions so far? Okay. Y'all have some questions. All right, so the first thing I want to do before I even continue, right now at the Joyce Gordon Gallery, we have what is the fourth version of a exhibition that I've been doing called Into the Archives. And in this version, we're really showcasing the Black Panther Party newspapers, as well as like the story of how those things were created. So once again, before we kind of continue, what I want everyone to do is to let's do it this way. If you have not, I would like for you all to scan either one of these QR codes. If you're on an Android, you can scan this one. If you're on an iPhone, you can scan this one. And once you scan that, I'd like for y'all to come a little closer, hold your camera up to the images that I have up here, so you can see what the experience like. Because we can't really like talk at the same level until we all know what we're talking about. Does that make sense? Anybody having trouble downloading the app or anything like that? Okay. Let's see. So, if you've already downloaded the app, what I like for you to do is just come up closer to the screen, point your camera at either one of these images. Make sure that your phone's not on silent so that you can hear the sound. And we're kind of going to go through maybe about 4 of these, just so y'all can get a sense of the different versions. If you're having trouble recognizing that, it just means that, let's see. Feel free to come a little closer. It's designed for the image to be kind of directly in front of you. So to switch from one image to the other, there's a few ways to do it. You can take your camera and not recognize that image anymore, and then go to the next one. So if you want to switch from one image to the next, take the focus off of the image, tap the camera button again, and then point it to the new image. Yeah, on the AR camera right there. There we go. Yeah. And if the sound's not on, make sure that your phone's not on silent so you can hear the volume as well. That's it. You see what that pointed up there? It's my eye, that's what it needed. Oh, okay, yeah. Let's see what we got. Now, working for you. Let's see if we can come up here. Let's step right here. Don't be shy. And you have to make sure if your phone's on, the Wi-Fi is on, but you're not connected, then you might have some trouble. There we go.
How do you change from this to the
To the other one? So you can like
one to the
no, it's only when they're that close together and you haven't reset it. So Yeah, so when you point it at a particular image, it's fixated on that image until you get away from that one and point singularly to another one. Yeah. Alright. So I'm going to go to the next one so you all can see another sample. So this is one that I did for my grandmother last year after she passed. And we were able to take some of the oral histories and things like that. Are you guys having trouble? Listen. Maybe, let's see if it works. No? Let's see. Let me see. Is it working for anyone? You can tap that camera, AR camera button again before you point it, and maybe that will help you out. And make sure if you're on Wi-Fi and not connected to disconnect from Wi-Fi. Either you're connected to the Wi-Fi and it's gonna work, but if your Wi-Fi button is on, but it's not connected, that may disrupt. What was it?
I was on the internet.
You wasn't on the internet? Yeah, if you're not on the internet, it's not gonna work, yeah. So this is just a sample of, like, these are oral histories that I used to do with my grandmother like 10 or 15 years ago, before I even knew what AR was. And then kind of once I was able to like develop the technology, I realized, okay, this was something I definitely wanted to do in this whole process. And now I'm going to show y'all one more. So this is a little different version of it. This is some of our documentary work that we did in Tanzania. And this is an example. This is also can be seen at our gallery at Joyce Gordon. I want you to get them. I like this one. I like that. So usually we have gallery experiences. Everybody have their own headphone situation, and you're able to kind of go through, have the experience. Oh yeah, I definitely want you all to come by on Thursday so you can see some of these things in action. And then, so that's a video version. That's just a matter of taking the image and then an existing video and just dropping it on top of each other. And then this is a version that it involves more kind of animation and things like this. So this is an exhibition called Exhibit A. And it's just me kind of like messing with the kid to talk about what's in this space. And what it is, it's about this idea of questioning whether or not Oakland is anti-black based on the statistics, based on the placement of black people, based on the history. So that's kind of a sample of that. And then there's, let's see, one more. This is the last one. Is it not working? Hello. Let's see. No. Maybe that one must. Maybe that one ain't activated. Has anybody been able to activate that one? Okay, we're gonna do a replacement one. Let's do, you wanna do the dragon? Let's do the dragon. There you go. Oh. You like that one? This was for a gallery we did around Black and Asian unity in Oakland. You want to try it? Oh. And then there's this one. Okay. And I'm going to show y'all, this is the last one I'm going to show y'all in this piece, and then we're going to listen to me talk a little bit, not too much. So what I like to do is just kind of show you all how we create some of these things in a very simple way. I might show you another version with some of the animation, but that's a little bit more advanced. But before we even continue, do we have any questions, any reactions to what you saw, what you experienced, anything like that? You like the dragon? I like the dragon too. I was very surprised by that one. So we're gonna talk about the dragon one since you like the dragon. Let's see if I can find that for you. Let's see. We don't see. All right. Well, let me get my pen. Looking for my Apple Pen, but we're gonna do it a little different. Okay. I said we were gonna do the dragon, correct? Let's see. So what you're looking at is the back end of our app. So before we continue to do that, let me just show you. So basically what we have is we have folks, they're able to open up the app, tap the create button, and create their own account. Once you have your account, that gives you license to take a piece of art or an image and then add a digital element on top of that. And what I'm gonna do, what I'm showing you now is just the back end of that. So when you tap on create, you're able to see all of these different projects. So these are existing projects that I already created. And since we wanted to talk about the dragon one, we're gonna just see how that actually looks in the back end. And what I wanted to make sure that we emphasize, everything that you've seen at the base level is just gonna be an image target, so it's either a piece of art and a video layer, MP4. How that MP4 looks and how it interacts is gonna be really up to you. So I'm gonna tap on this just so you can see what's going on in the background. So what we do is we come in, we give the project a name, which is called the dragon. And the second thing we're gonna do is we're just gonna tell the camera how wide is the image that the app will be looking for. So in this case, this image is 6 feet wide, correct? And then what we do is we upload and feed this piece, feed the image target to the app. So this is what we know that the camera is going to see and recognize to bring up whatever digital elements we want. And then on this side, we're just going to add a video layer of the kind that we want. So when you look at this video layer, you can see what it looks like. Alright. So when you all were able to point the camera at this particular image, you saw just the dragging going across the image, right? Two things that you saw when you experienced that. You saw that the dragon was beyond the border of the artwork, and then you saw that the dragon did not have the green screen on there. So in the same way that we use chroma keys and things like that in every other part of media, we use it in augmented reality in similar ways. And what I do is I wanted the dragon to go at least a little bit outside of the border and come on the other side, right? In order to do that, I had to ensure that the video layer that I included had a larger width than the original image, so that when it's laid on top of each other, then it'll kind of go beyond the border. Had I just uploaded a video that was the exact same size as this one, then the dragon would just kind of appear within those borders. That makes sense? To ensure that the only thing that I'm doing differently than any other kind of like creation is I'm just ensuring that this video is transparent by just tapping that button. So the goal for us is really not like all of the coding and all that that's happening in the background. It's just to have like the very basic abilities to get to an experience. So we don't have to kind of think about all that other stuff, but we can think about what is the creative experience that people have, how are we kind of like guiding our users in a certain way, and things like that. Questions?
I imagine that you need to have license rights to the video. Do you need to have license rights to the image that you are using to point at?
Right, so a lot of the licenses, right now we upload video directly, but a lot of them are basically affiliated through YouTube. So we're able to download them from there, or eventually we'll be able to put up directly a link instead of the video. When it comes to the images, everything that we design is really built for artists and for curators. So the rights to the image and the artwork it goes with the artist. So there might be a situation where myself, I have a particular piece of art and I've uploaded this and I want to kind of augment. And then Devin, he has the same piece of art. Maybe it is actually his art in the first place. What happens is if Devin wants to dispute the other piece of art, he will just be able to contact us and he gets the domain over and using that art. A lot of times right now what we're working out is just what is it gonna look like who's the first person like to a dollar bill or to a public piece. It's really just the first person to that. In future iterations, I think we're gonna be able to create multiple experiences with a single image target, so it's not one-to-one. Any other questions? So what I want to do is I just want to walk y'all through a few of those experiences that you saw, just so you can see what it looks like on the other end. Just to kind of like demystify a little bit more. And then we're going to talk about another project that we were able to do. Sorry. So, let me see which one that you all look at. So we have this piece that you all experience of Kathleen Cleaver. Same kind of concept. On one side, we just have the image. And on the left side, what I did was I just was able to embed the video, add a little bit of transparency into the image. And then when you have that experience, that's what makes it look like the video is kind of embedded. It's literally just the image uploaded, just the video uploaded, and kind of like the experience as you have it. And now I'm gonna just walk you through the creation of one of these, if you don't have any questions or anything like that. Okay. So, this is what we're gonna do. Alright, so I want you all to just take one more chance and come up and see what this looks like. I'm just gonna walk you through how I created it.
Yeah.
Is it working for you? I should have my Apple Pen. Oh, here we go. All right, so I'm gonna just walk you all through, not for the purposes of kind of replicating this right here, but just kind of seeing what this process looks like. So usually we start with the image. So this is an image as part of a James Baldwin exhibition that me and my nephew have been working on as the digital curators. And the idea was to kind of take some of the images and combine them with audio, with visuals that kind of exist in the archives of James Baldwin. So this is how I would go about this. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open it in one of my favorite apps. Let's see. There's an app called Mug Life. So this is something, usually when you're doing like, you know, immersive technology, you have to have, you need to have like motion capture suits and things like that, be able to buy the equipment. That's usually about like $3,000. So I always just am trying to find like ways to kind of get around that. So there's two things that I've downloaded to get around using that. One is this app. It's called Mug Life. It's just a mobile app. And then the next one is called Viggle AI. which is basically, it allows you to do motion capture without having a suit. You just record yourself making motions, and then it can transfer it into whichever mediums that you might need. I just wanted to show y'all this real quickly. See how that works. See this? So the first thing I usually do anytime that I have one of these images, even before I bring it into Mug Life, is I always like to isolate the face first and give it a background, usually green, but since there's green in this image, probably another color, so that I can have a little bit more control over the face. So before I come here, I'm actually gonna go into another video app, which is like CapCut or InShot or anything like that. Let's see what we can do. So InShot. I'm gonna open up. It switches up in this app, so I don't know where nothing is. It just like moves everything. Okay, we got that. Thank you, sir. And so this is actually the finished image what we're trying to get to. But basically, what I would do is I would tap this little button at the bottom called Cutout that you all can't see. It's a button called Cutout, and it allows me to remove anything beyond that image that we want. So because I'm actually just gonna use the same background color, I'm just gonna restore it. So I'm gonna tap this button on the left, it's called Canvas. I'm gonna tap background at the bottom, and then I'm just gonna give it a blue background. So I did all that just so I can have control over this image's kind of likeness and everything like that. So I'm going to export that image, and now all the fun can begin with Mug Life. So I'm gonna open up the image that we just created. And now I have an ability I can control. So there's a couple of things I can do. I can just give it different random animations and he'll kind of go along with that. But I can also tap this button at the corner that says perform. So now it's just me talking directly to this image, giving it, all of the things that you need. The next thing that I can do is I can tap this button right here, which is the record button, and now I can record a video kind of mimicking either something that James Baldwin said or just kind of bringing in that audio. Once I'm done with it, I can tap, it wouldn't fail if we weren't connected to this, but it basically will allow you to export that video. And now what you essentially have is the two building blocks of like Black Terminus, which is the image target and then a video that can kind of overlay on top of it in a certain aspect. But I'd love for somebody to just come up here and just see how this works. Anybody want to interact with James Baldwin for a second?
Don't be shy.
All right. What's your name? Come on, Allie. Here we go. Give Allie a round of applause.
Yeah.
There we go. There we go. Okay. So I'm gonna let you know this since you have to take your mask off to do it. But we just wanted to hold it and see what it's like to image. There you go. There you go. There we go. So a lot of times, so there's a few things that I always tell folks with this app. So you see when we put it in there that the app kind of recognized the face and kind of got most things right. You can check to see how accurate it is. And I would say that specifically with portraits of Black people and portraits of Asian folks, the app has a lot of trouble with us. So I'm going to show y'all what it looks like to make sure that the work that you're doing is going to be reflective. They were able to clearly see his eyes and see his lips and things like that, but that's not always the case with the images that you have. And sometimes you're not trying to create or control a face. So when I discovered that I can put like a mural of a lion in there and just kind of assign the right features to it, then there's a lot more fun that you can have, I guess. Thank you so much. What you think about that? Okay, so I'm going to show y'all what it looks like to kind of like make it so that this visual is as accurate as you want to. And all of it by accuracy is just going to be how obsessive you are as a designer, as an artist, as a creator, and all of those things. Sometimes I just want to get it done. Sometimes I'll spend like 10 hours moving the right thing around. But to see where the accuracy is, we can tap on this create button, and what it's going to do is going to give us this the wrench in the top corner right here above his eye. If I tap that, that'll give me all of these different options, right? So I can either copy the animation, I can tap pose face, which will allow me to just give it different exaggerations and things like that by pressing these buttons at the bottom. But I don't think that's what we want to do. What we want to do is see what the alignment of the visual is. So when I tap this, what you can see, can you all see, I know it might be difficult to actually visualize, but you can see that these dots around here, those are supposed to be his irises. Those are where the eyes are, but you can see that they're actually located below where they need to be. You can see kind of the nose a little bit is not as aligned. And what that's going to do is going to affect how good of an effect you come up with, if it actually looks like somebody's blinking or if it actually looks like someone's talking when you add the audio in there. So if I was going to fix this and be a little bit more obsessive, you see the eye right here, I would press group mode and I just kind of move it around a little bit so that it looks closer to the image that I have right in front of me. And I'll do the same thing with the eyes here. I'm gonna move that up. And the same here. So a lot of this is, if you're a designer, if you're a filmmaker, if you're creative in some kind of way, how detailed your work looks is going to be just based on you, your personality, and the time that you have, right? But these are just kind of different ways to kind of make this experience a little bit more rich. Next, what I'd like to do is just share with y'all another visual, and it really kind of just goes over some of the work that we've done with the Black Panther Party to kind of develop those images that you all experiences, the ones where you're able to point the camera and the newspaper comes to life. Part of that is all of these things that I have been doing is just on the journey of the things that I've been most interested in. So as an archivist, as somebody who's into history, as somebody who's into Black culture, everything that I do are gonna revolve around those things. But what I want to encourage is really thinking about what are the things that are really close to you and the things that you think folks would want to have experiences of that you can kind of bring. Sometimes that might be just an image, that might be artwork, that might be a monument on the outside of here. There are different things that you can do. I'm most inspired by the Black Panther Party. So what I want to do is just show you it's a short about the exhibition that we created, which was how we're gonna embed videos and different digital elements into the legacy of the Black Panther Party. And a lot of these things that you see are kind of a culmination of a lot of research, a lot of sitting down with elders, doing a lot of oral histories, actually, figuring out, finding the right clips, really going to the libraries and making sure that what we're saying is as accurate as possible. So I wanted to and I didn't want you all to see all like the result and not see kind of the work that actually goes into it. So I want to share that with you. And then what I'm sharing actually is one of my documentaries. So it's a documentary short. And when I was developing this technology, I would go around the world, starting in Oakland, going to Sacramento, to teach artists kind of one-on-one in alleyways, at different like workshops and things like that. And I recorded many of those kind of like sessions, which kind of developed into what we're doing today, which I'll share with y'all at the very end of this clip. Let's see. How often do you have people in here like that?
About a month and a half ago, I started letting people here.
Yeah.
Because there was a number of students that were doing projects at UC Berkeley that required a physical presence. Like this right here is a folder I have on Hue. Right? And so basically, I got 3 of them, but basically most of the stuff, like this is like the first for Huey rally and stuff.
This is the first one?
April, he was dead, like working the key. Yeah. Elders here, John Sloan, Kathleen Cleaver, Bobby Seale, the Curry brothers.
Here's my Bobby brother.
Like this the party, we are social scientists, and we just don't base things on whims. We have a way of thinking, dialectic materialism, international intercommunalism. So there's lessons to be taught for the next generation, how to organize, the attitude you have, the books you gotta read, the outlook you gotta have, what responsibility is. We have to pass those things on.
You keep talking about the world and that we need a change.
This is an original issue of the Panther Case. You can tell by the red ink and stuff like that on it and stuff like that. This is the thing with ISO. This came out in September.
Oh, that's like right when you...
Yeah. I was telling that paper. Now this is like 72, 73, like 1967, 68. This is my book. Like this is
is that the community school?
Open community school. She was teaching that. This is Tupac here. Yeah, if you didn't know about this is the original photo from Angela, and this is party members feeding people on the board car. Here's the factory right in the background. Now this is a San Francisco Panthers. This is myself back. Oh, that's good. Oh, yeah, actually I was in the front. We did a about face kind of thing. Like that before they did one program, first one, Liberation, one call it. The movement came from San Francisco. This is just stuff I have here and we haven't even begun to go downstairs yet into the basement where I keep the big posters and stuff that's too big to have in the room. Because it's a parent again. Newspapers and magazines straight out of Africa. 83, 82. A lot of people weren't even hip to what was going on in Africa and apartheid at that time. Like this right here is the crisis from 1970 to 1980. These are the NAACP internal magazines. And the reason I started collecting these is because they are the ones who supported Fred Hampton. Are you hip to this magazine? No. Blue magazine? Oh man, this is a revolutionary revolutionary artist. And all came with blaring, kick-ass music. Dick Gregory. This is one. He was a party supporter for a long time. Even though the Grand Elders Queen were against him, and when he ran the Peace and Freedom Party. A lot of pictures you might not see because that's from these from this geographical area. Or what Tuto used to do is Emory used to sit him out on the set to do some pictures, and he would go and develop a proof sheet and bring it to the headquarters and Emory would look at it and say, put an X on the picture they want. And out of 36 pictures, they're not only one picture, and the rest of the 35 pictures are going to waste. You know, because they only want one. But guys like me years later, get the proof sheets full of the pictures on there.
And you can copy that
I got about the proof sheet. So, as a matter of fact, I bought some from a guy from Seattle, and he had Seattle Panther stuff on there. And the Seattle Panthers said, where you get this shit from film? Sometimes people give it to me, sometimes you got it straight out the bottom. My hands are teaching at our school, breakfast program, people being fed, you know, sickle cell anemia, talking about voting. They internalize that stuff and go to work and subliminally think. You know, they see a black professional woman taking care of black people in the community. You talking about imagery? A black kid seeing a black person and say, hey, I would like to do that. I would like to be a doctor and come back to my neighborhood. You know? So that's good kind of messaging to people that you can be all you can. There's things you can do in the community, you know? My black brothers in Vietnam, this issue came out in 69. This is Bobby Seale, this is Julie Hilliard, this is Big Man, this is Geronimo, you know? This is Bob Rush, before he became a congressman, he was in the military. And in this particular article, Elder Kruger wrote about this black men shouldn't go be war. But these brothers came back and used their military experience to enhance the community. You know, like Geronimo, he personally, we said hell run, he personally went around like 10 or 15 Panther officers before he got locked up and refortified it to withstand an attack from the old. He was a Purple Heart runner. This guy, he knows military and stuff like that. So anyway, this was all about the war. Now this artwork right here was done by a brother Marcus Funk. He was a Sacramento Panther and he's like world renowned.
That's like a visual version.
Visual version. So even if you cannot read it, you can get it.
We need this on the walls. Like that right there.
Panther working with the units. This is Candy. You know, give people food, pick the line and stuff like that. We have 100 Panthers out there, 10 minutes. Well, that's an hour. There's another one I started article about the food program. So I got plenty material to deal with. Sometimes I get so much stuff, I forget what I have. Right. I mean, whatever comes out about the party, what they like raps, I get it. You know? It's a lot. It's a lot. It all depends on how much you love this stuff. Right. You know, this is called the international solidarity. You know, right here you see Huey in China, Panthers from India, Panthers from Australia, Panthers from New Zealand. They carry to the cover, milk. That's our international office. Now, if you was in Tanzania, going to where Charlotte is, you see all these signs leading to all the Panther signs, all of them. Okay? So you see Panthers from all over the world in different forms here. And that's going to be the theme of our 55th. Global impact, you know, because we're talking about India, China, UK, all over the world. You know, so party wasn't just a thing here, it was a thing that changed all over the world. This is just part of the archive. Man, I got a bunch of stuff in the garage. This is West Oakland, Tess and that guy. When every Panther rally, they're out there playing, regardless of what the hell is going on.
So, I wanted to make sure that you all were, one, was able to see that, because a lot of the work that we do in terms of creating augmented reality experiences, one, require a lot of research, and it's really by design. I'm not sure what your experience with augmented reality is, but before I was able to kind of put my spin on it, a lot of my experiences were, flower crowns and cat ears and things like that, which are kind of visually great, but they don't have a connection to something beyond that. So when I'm teaching my folks in our workshop and our internships and things like that, we're really focusing on not just augmented reality for its sake, but really figuring out ways that this little element actually adds more to this experience. So it's worth doing, because not only am I able to talk about the Black Panther Party newspapers, but I'm also able to introduce people to a particular clip, a particular piece that a lot of time only archivists are really able to see. And so I want to encourage that. My angle is Black Panther history, Black culture, but really thinking about whatever your kind of like process is, really figuring out ways that is going to relate to the people that you're trying to connect with. Starting off with just my family photos was really a way for me to encourage my family to digitize more photos, to have a reason to have these experiences, to have a reason to have the physical pieces. So those are mine, but I want to make sure that people don't leave here with this idea that this is the way that it should go, that everybody has to go from a history angle, or everybody has to integrate into photos or artwork. Maybe there are other elements, maybe there are textiles that you want to integrate. Maybe there are, small posters and things like that that you want to have these experiences in. And all of this that I'm telling you is something I had to learn after going around the world for 4 years, teaching different workshops, getting an understanding of what works, what doesn't. And kind of after doing that, we were able to not have so many kind of like skewed workshops and experiences, but now we do what we call our Juneteenth Hackathon, which is every June in Oakland. We bring together about 150 to 200 artists and train them specifically how to create these experiences, how to skill share, and really figure out ways to kind of like keep all of the information alive. So my last piece that I want to share with y'all is just visuals from our hackathon. Really understanding that our next one is actually going to be at Art Basel in December. We're hoping to have another one in February in Detroit, and then we'll be back in Oakland in June. But now we're on a mission, not just kind of like being like choosing and picking certain places to go, but being very strategic about really driving like the workforce development of content creation in augmented reality. Any questions about that?
By making content creation so accessible, are you concerned about it being misused, communicating painful messages, inappropriate messages? So how are you curating to avoid that?
So I think that.
Can you repeat it if you don't mind? Just repeat it for us.
Is it going? Oh, sorry. So I think, you said repeat
Just
the
repeat the
question?
question.
Oh, so basically thinking about like the ways that this technology is now so accessible, how do you work on ways to keep keep it from being misused? Maybe, you know, attaching these videos to images that we don't agree with, or rendering videos that we might find offensive in certain ways. I think it's the same kind of challenge that every piece of technology has, is really about what are the policies around this and how it's going to be used. And that's because of, because augmented reality, because virtual reality and immersive technology are so new. That's kind of why it's so important that we do make it more accessible, because now we will have more voices and in the discussion on how do we safeguard this stuff. So we need people, one, to be interested in it so that they can be in discussion of the policies that we develop from that. Personally, what we're doing is right now, we're just being able to address issues as they come. So we have a portal where people can send in any information and say that they don't think it's appropriate. In the last 4 years, we haven't had any kind of crazy kind of misuse of the technology, but I'm waiting to see what we do when it happens.
Hey, this is great. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm super interested in not just the technical process that's part of it, but also what all of that does to something like a mural on a wall. I'm a geographer, so I'm obsessed with the thing that's also being AR. And I'm kind of curious, you've been to all these different places and you've taught this same method to a whole bunch of different people in different places. And I'm wondering, does the meaning of AR and what it can do and the way it sort of interacts with place change at all across? Because I'm thinking West Oakland's a really specific kind of place, but you take that and you move to, even somewhere like Detroit, but somewhere like Nicaragua or wherever, you're going to get different environmental elements. Does that change?
Definitely. So I think the thing that I'm most focused on when I'm going to visit other cities, other countries and all that, is still kind of focusing in on the art scene in a certain way.
Yeah.
Not because that's the best way to use the technology, but it's the best entryway. Fortunately, a lot of these places, there are really good, strong arts communities. There are, in Detroit, for example, amazing large-sized murals and things like that. I think it's really adapting to where you are. So, for example, I was in Tanzania, in the big city, in Dar es Salaam, they have murals. So I was able to go to the muralist and say, look at this technology, let's do something with it. But if you go across the water, you go to Zanzibar, public art is pretty much outlawed because it's a heritage site and all of that. So most of the art that's there is specific to fine artists and things like that. So we just kind of pivot a little bit. Now we're working directly with the fine artists. When we were in Nairobi, there are a lot of muralists and things like that, but they also have textile and metal workers. I didn't know that it worked on metal until we tried it. So we were just out there. It makes sense that it can work and all of these kind of interactions work. Most of this stuff is just experimentation. It's really just trial and error. Everything that I've kind of shared in terms of these experiences, all of them are experiments. They all are just kind of let's see, some of them are mistakes, some of them are just oh, that's interesting. But every single one of these things are not necessarily something that I thought through from the beginning to the end. We just kind of pivoted based on where we were. Another example will be when we're overseas, you know, when I was developing, I'm developing for people in Oakland with the iPhone 15 and amazing internet connection and all those kind of things, but that's not always the case. So some places we would come with like, you know, routers and things like that. Other times we would just have everybody working on like one computer. When I first started, you have to develop a lot of this stuff on heavy software, so I was coming around with this computer and it just wasn't working, so we just brought it down to the phone. So all of it is just adjusting and figuring out how do people who are there, how do they make things work? Because everybody don't have all of the privileges that we have to be in like an optimal environment to create. And I think that's the point. It's like, if we can break that down, then it's easier for you and I to see how we can participate in this.
Yeah, thank you. This is so interesting, and I use also VR, AR,
Okay.
my own work as Egyptologist, so basically very ancient stuff. And the value, at least in my discipline, is also that you document objects or images that will disappear at a certain point. And I think with street art and mural art is the same, right? So I wonder if you are also doing a sort of archive of all the murals that you are animating. And also the second question related to that is how you select what to augment, what kind of contents, what kind of voices, what they say, how do you select them? Because there will be so much, right?
Yeah.
For the Black Panther versions.
Well, I can say that like when I walk around, my mind is just kind of like, if I see art, a lot of it is just about, am I inspired, or when I see it, can I see something move there? So that's something I'm kind of inspired everywhere when I have these kind of images and things like that. So that's one, but also, you know, like thinking about the ways that I was very inspired by this idea of putting things in the built environment, being in a place where gentrification is really rampant, and this idea of like, you know, how things can be kind of overlooked or paved over within like a year or two. I also, you know, for me, I'm also looking for things that I wish that I wanted to see even when I was younger. So I would have wanted to walk around West Oakland and know that the Black Panther Party was there and not just kind of hear about it. So that's it. Those are the things that kind of like motivate. And then back to what does it take? What motivates me to have some type of activation or create movement is really going to be how motivating is the artwork, or how motivating is the subject matter. And sometimes it might be the other way around. Maybe there's like such rich video, audio, all of this content that is gonna make whatever physical object, that's gonna be amazing, even if I don't know what that is yet. And then, yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. There's a lot.
Thank you so much for your talk. This work is really inspiring. I was wondering about if you had any thoughts about AR's potential to build community, maybe. Just because like the mode of using it feels kind of very singular and experiences, but I was curious if you had any like ideas or insights into or experiences in how you
Well, so I think the main thing is applying your creativity to this. I've talked to a lot of people over the last 4 years who have been in augmented reality who have not used it in the way that I have. But when it comes to building community, I think it has the greatest kind of like potential to do that, specifically between like generations. So something like the Black Panther Party, an exhibition will bring out the right people, the people who all know. But for somebody who's like my niece who's 8 years old, or my nephew's 6, I also have to create something that makes it interesting to them. And what I saw was, when I was first kind of experimenting with this, is the kids, even if they didn't necessarily even know what was happening, downloading it, they always wanted to have the experience. They did it multiple times, although they just like the idea of that type of engagement. So I think there's a lot of potential there. There's this idea that I think when young folks don't know history, they're kind of shamed for it instead of like taught about it. Like, I think we're supposed to wake up and kind of know all the things that are going on. So I think this way of discovering history or something that's deeper is something that elders and young people can kind of like come together around. The interactivity, if there are ways to figure out ways to integrate this into regular kind of like social interactions. So for example, a kid in Tanzania decided to not attach all of his AR to pieces of art, but he took his documentary, chopped it up into like 10 pieces, and just attached it to a calendar here or a wall over here or something else, and created a scavenger hunt out of that kind of thing. So I think it's gonna be you starting at that central concern of creating community and then building out from there. But it's only gonna be people where that kind of thing is important.
Probably have time for maybe one last question if there's someone who's got a burning one, but we gotta wrap it up because we got another class coming in here.
Okay.
So if anyone's got something that they've been waiting on, please.
No, not
Okay.
I was just telling this kid that this is not his class.
Okay. Well, I just want to thank y'all for allowing me to share what knowledge I have. Hope it gave you a little bit of curiosity around this tech. I'll be making sure I'm in communication for when we have different events and exhibitions and all that, so you can come see some of this in the real world. All right, thank you.